All right, if I have to hear about this so-called male loneliness epidemic one more time, I'm going to lose it. I mean, really? This is what we're focusing on? Men being lonely? It's not like women haven't been lonely for, I don't know, forever. Where was this global outcry when women were the ones stuck in isolation for centuries? Literally centuries, locked in marriages they didn't want, doing domestic work they never signed up for, and raising children they may not have even dreamed of having. For generations, women have lived lives where their ambitions, dreams, and personal freedoms were squashed. They were told their place was in the home, supporting husbands, maintaining households, and rearing kids. Loneliness was just an accepted reality. Women were emotionally and socially isolated in a way that was institutionalized by society. And guess what? No one was writing articles about it. No one called it an epidemic, and definitely no one was throwing them sympathy parties. But now, some men are feeling isolated, having trouble making friends or getting girlfriends, and suddenly, we've decided it's a global crisis. How convenient. There's a whole movement to talk about why men can't seem to connect emotionally, why they're struggling to form relationships, and why it's so unfair that they're lonely. But let's not forget, these same men have been handed the world for centuries. They've had access to power, wealth, and freedom, while women were left to pick up the pieces in the background. And you know what makes it even more frustrating? Throughout history, men have always relied on women to do the emotional heavy lifting. In relationships, it's typically the woman's job to fix the man. It's like women are assigned this lifelong task of turning emotionally immature men into grown-ups, making them kinder, more empathetic, more patient, all while women silently carry the weight of the relationship on their own shoulders. And this has been going on for generations. So men are lonely now? Well, maybe what we're seeing is the result of women stepping back from carrying the emotional burden in relationships. Society is changing, and women are no longer solely responsible for doing the emotional work. The result? Some men are realizing they've been emotionally dependent on women, and now they're feeling lost without that constant emotional support. What's really baffling is how much attention this epidemic is getting. Experts, researchers, therapists, everyone is weighing in on how to solve male loneliness, while completely ignoring the fact that women's emotional labour has been the glue holding society together for ages. For centuries, women have navigated their own loneliness, often in silence, while still being expected to show up emotionally for men. It's like society has been telling women, yeah, you can be lonely, but you still have to take care of him. And now that some men are facing a fraction of that isolation, we're expected to drop everything and focus on fixing their problem. But let's be real, this male loneliness epidemic? It's not some new crisis. It's a natural consequence of men not having to deal with their own emotions for so long. Women have been expected to manage both their own emotional lives and the emotional lives of men. And finally, that's starting to change. Women are refusing to do the emotional labour for men, and now men are facing the fallout. They're feeling lonely because, for the first time, they're being asked to develop emotional intelligence, form deeper connections, and take care of their own emotional needs. I think it's worth asking, why is it that women's loneliness was ignored for centuries, but as soon as men start feeling the sting of emotional isolation, it's a crisis? For generations, women were told to tough it out, keep their heads down, and just deal with the loneliness that came with their expected roles. But now men are feeling what women have felt for ages, and suddenly the world is rushing to their aid. And let's not forget that emotional labour isn't just a relationship issue, it's a societal one. We've conditioned men to rely on women for emotional support and growth. From childhood, boys are taught to hide their feelings, avoid vulnerability, and act tough. Then, when they grow up, we expect women to undo all that emotional damage by being the ones who fix them. It's no wonder that men are struggling with loneliness now. They've been set up for it by a culture that denies them emotional depth and places that burden on women instead. But here's the thing. Men are lonely, and this is an opportunity for them to finally deal with the emotional work they've been avoiding for so long. It's not women's job to carry this burden anymore. They've been doing it for millennia, and it's about time men took responsibility for their own emotional lives. Instead of framing this as an epidemic, maybe we should be framing it as a wake-up call. Men need to learn how to cultivate emotional resilience, build deeper relationships, and develop the emotional literacy that women have been practicing for ages. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable. But women have been doing it forever, and now it's time for men to catch up. In the end, this male loneliness epidemic is less about an actual crisis and more about men finally facing the emotional consequences of generations of ignoring their emotional development. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe men need to experience what women have been dealing with for centuries, not because it's some kind of punishment, but because it's necessary for growth. Women have been doing the emotional heavy lifting for so long, and now it's time for men to carry their own weight. It's not about dismissing men's loneliness, it's about recognizing that this is the moment for men to step up, develop their own emotional maturity, and stop relying on women to do the emotional work for them. This isn't an epidemic, it's an opportunity, and men should take it.